Hello there, and welcome to Really Cool Excel. Today we're going to look in more detail at the if function. This is part 2 of if, so if you haven't seen the earlier video, it might be an idea to go back and take a look at if part 1. Just a quick reminder of what if is used for. It analyzes numeric data, then gives us the result in text, or as a numeric value. Here's an example. A3 contains a figure that represents our company's actual turnover for the year. B3 is the target turnover figure. And in C3, we want to see a text statement that tells us whether actual turnover exceeds the target. As always, start by selecting the result cell C3. Then click the Insert function button here to bring up this dialog box. Select If, check the description here, then click OK to accept. Now, first we specify the logical test. In this case, if A3 is greater than B3. Now, we input a value if this test turns out to be true, so I'll put success in the value if true field. Then we input a second value if the test turns out to be false, so failure goes in the value if false field. Excel will put in all the extra pieces of coding for us, as you'll see from the formula bar. So, just to review, the if function now reads, in plain English, if A3 is greater than B3, put success in C3, otherwise put failure. Now click OK, and there we go. Success, in more ways than one. That's just a quick recap. Now let's move on and look at other ways that if can help us to analyze data. You might have a stretch target that's, say, 20% above actual. In this case, the if function would read, if A8 is greater than 120% of B8, return success, otherwise failure. This time if has reported failure, which technically is correct. But of course, if the stretch target is 1.2 times turnover, we can't really say a turnover of 12,000 is a failure, because that figure is 120% of 10,000. So we'll adjust the formula to make it more accurate. If A8 is greater than or equal to 120% of B8, return success, otherwise failure. Now it's a more accurate formula, and if reports success this time. You might also want to compare results in two cells to see if they are the same or different. This example is comparing two cells, both of which contain ABC 1, 2, 3. This time we'll put if A13 is equal to B13, say same, otherwise say different. These two cells are identical, so if reports same. But in the two cells below we have ABC 1, 2, 3 and, perhaps because of a typo, ABC I 2, 3. Replicate the formula, and now if reports the two cells are different. The other way around works too, comparing two spellings of Lindsay. If E3 is not equal to F3, and the symbol for not equal to is less than, greater than. So if E3 is not equal to F3, say different, otherwise say same. And E3 is not equal to F3, so if reports different. Equal to or not equal to, they both work in the same fashion. Moving on from here, we don't always have to be comparing one value against another. For example, let's say you've sent out a pile of questionnaires and you're waiting for replies. If you haven't had a reply, it needs to say so in the no reply column. But if you have had a reply, then in turn the no reply column should be blank. Time for another new symbol here. If E8 is blank, and for blank we use 2 double quotes, put no reply. Otherwise, blank again. 2 more double quotes. The reply column is empty, so no reply is entered. As soon as we put in a reply, like yes, the no reply field returns a blank. And finally for this lesson, let's see how to use a formula in one of the fields. This example involves a store, where purchases of £100 or over attract a discount of 10% of the purchase price. The invoiced amounts are in the first column. The first amount is £90, which wouldn't earn a discount, whereas the second figure of £150 would. We use if in F13 to work out if the customer is entitled to a discount and what the discount should be. In G13, I've put a formula that simply subtracts the discount from the invoice price E13 minus F13. Let's build the if formula. If E13 is less than 100, put 0, otherwise calculate 10% of E13. £90 is less than 100, so the discount is 0, making the total cost £90. However, I'll replicate the formula down to the cell below. £150 is more than £100, so this purchase does qualify for a discount. The 10% discount is £15, so the total to be paid is £135. Now, once you play around with this type of scenario, you'll realize that if could have been designed several different ways to achieve the same result. Using these examples, you should now be able to work out what you're trying to achieve and then figure out the best way to do it. In a later lesson, we'll use something similar to create a cumulative sum, where if will have a sum function nested inside it. So, in summary, with if, you are always comparing one value against another, and the values can be in a cell or placed inside the formula. In one of our examples, the cell was blank, which is where we used the 2 double quotes. Comparisons can be equal to or not equal to, and you can compare numbers or text. And finally, part of the formula can be a formula in its own right. We used if E13 is less than 100, put 0, otherwise calculate 10% of E13. So that's where we'll leave if as a standalone function. It's an excellent tool and can help you analyze data in so many ways. The only downside is you can only compare one value against another. But in a later video, we'll see how to nest several if statements together, which is much more versatile. I'll leave you now to go off and experiment, and if you'd like more practice, download the associated Excel file from the website. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time.